We're back here on WWE Network and Chill. Graham Giuseppe Matthews here breaking down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're reviewing the Labor Day edition of Raw Talk for September 4th, 2023. Hope you guys are doing well and enjoyed the holiday yesterday. Matt Camp, Megan Moran opened up the episode running down the biggest highlights from Monday's show, including the Sami Zayn, Jey Uso reunion that started off Raw, replaying that segment. Great stuff. The former enemies turned friends, turned enemies, turned back to friends on Monday's Raw. They also recapped the Tornado Tag Team match, the Viking Raiders knocking off Matt Riddle and Drew McIntyre in tag team action, probably getting them one step closer to a tag team title opportunity when they clear up that whole situation with Judgment Day. I mean, they're the current tag team champions. I just don't see us getting Viking Raiders against Judgment Day anytime soon, but we'll see. We hear from the Viking Raiders real quick in another pre-tape promo, the Raiders and Valhalla. And they basically just say they've given their sacrifices to the gods in the last 2 weeks, because they also beat the New Day last week as well. And they said they will not stop their suffering of other opponents until their hunger, the gods' hunger, is satisfied. Matt Camp calls them cohesive, if nothing else. The Viking Raiders are at least on the same page. Not that New Day aren't, but they did fall to Viking Raiders last week, and they have issues now with Riddle and McIntyre, it seems, and they're not even really on the same page, so they got to figure that shit out. They recap the Shayna Baszler-Zoe Stark match, won by Baszler, again, following their original encounter a couple of weeks ago. We hear from Shayna backstage here, and she says that it was a great match with Zoe, and that Stark has earned her respect. But she's going to keep going on through the roster, running through the roster, and wants to prove why she's the baddest fighter in the game. Now listen, I like the Shayna and Zoe match we got on Monday's show. The issue is that neither woman has really turned babyface. Shayna was only really a babyface in the feud with Ronda. And even then, she wasn't really much of a babyface. People just liked her more than Ronda. And Zoe, yes, she turned on Trish Stratus on the Payback pay-per-view a couple days ago. But she also really isn't much of a babyface yet. She never really had that turn beyond the betrayal of Trish on Saturday. So, I don't know. It's not really a surprise to me why the crowd sat on their hands for this match on Raw. They had a good match. They did. They had a very well-worked, solid match. The issue is that no one gave a shit, and I'm not surprised. They recap the Seth Rollins-Nakamura segment with Rollins calling out Nakamura after Nakamura attacked Rollins after Payback went off the air on Saturday. Nakamura said, "No, I don't want to accept your challenge," or whatever, and Rollins went after him anyway. They also recap the Nakamura-Ricochet match, won by Ricochet by disqualification. Matt Camp says Rollins is currently fighting more with his heart than his head, and Nakamura knows he turned down Rollins' challenge for a rematch, probably for the World Heavyweight Championship, because Nakamura knows that another opportunity is coming his way, and he wants it on his own time. They recap the Sami Zayn JD McDonough match, won by JD, following interference from Dominic Mysterio. We hear from Finn Balor and JD McDonough backstage. Balor says that he believes in McDonough. McDonough also calls Balor's biggest win of his career, Balor becoming the tag team champions on Payback. And McDonough also says that this is just the start. So they're continuing to tease that McDonough might be added to Judgment Day, which seems inevitable, and it might be coming on the sooner side now that McDonough's kind of warming himself up to the rest of the group after kind of getting off on a rocky start a few weeks ago. Balor's kind of initiating him into the group, which is nice. Matt Camp says if you're Judgment Day, why not add McDonough to the group? Because it puts the odds even more in their favor. And to me, I see all this, and as other people are probably thinking as well, this has got to be leading to our next War Games match, probably at Survivor Series. I know they're not advertising Survivor Series as a War Games show like last year, and that's fine. I honestly don't even really want 2 War Games matches. Just because you do one for the men doesn't mean you necessarily have to do one for the women and vice versa. You do it when it makes sense. You don't have to have a men's match and a women's match. Just do it whenever it makes sense. It might make sense for Survivor Series. Fastlane might be too soon, but Survivor Series to me would make sense. Anyway, so they recap the Gunther and Gable main event for the Intercontinental Championship. Gunther winning in an excellent outing once again. Still the Intercontinental Champion, and Matt Camp reinforces that the record will be broken on Thursday. When Gunther wakes up on Thursday, he will have become the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. He also recaps his reign, his wins over Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, Shinsuke Nakamura, Ricochet, Riddick Moss, Xavier Woods, Rey Mysterio, Matt Riddle, now Chad Gable. The list goes on and on and on. He's beaten them all to retain the championship, and he calls him the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, which honestly, I find hard to disagree with. You might have other answers, and that's not exactly wrong. I mean, he's certainly better than the fucking Honky Tonk Man. I'll tell you that much. But I would go so far as to say that Gunther is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. Again, my opinion, but I feel like it's hard to argue against. And they also plug, to end the episode here, Damian Priest and Finn Balor, the new undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions, for the bump coming up on Wednesday. Good episode of Raw Talk here. We heard from JD and Finn Balor. We heard from Shayna Baszler and the Viking Raiders. Not the most eventful episode here. It was fine. Not bad, but pretty solid by Raw Talk standards. Thank you guys for checking out my review. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews. Enjoy the rest of your week, folks, and I'll catch your ass down the road.